Hi guys, it's Jake here at Canadian Cutting Edge. It's Fixed Blade Friday, and today we've got a big old fixed blade. Well, it's not that old. I just got it a little while ago. This is got a funny little beak on it. If you just see this part, ignore the rest of my hand. That looks kind of cool. Looks kind of like a bird beak or something, like a nice bird eye right there. We've got a recurve and a belly on a nice big fixed blade, G10 handle scales, made by CIMA. This is the G896, I think. I don't have the number in my head right now. But this knife is AUS-8 steel, and it's kind of unique. The blade shape that you have here is quite uncommon, to be honest with you. You don't see it very often. And I'd like to show you this knife in more detail because I'm trying to figure out if I think this is a fantasy knife or if it's just a very radical knife that is actually quite functional. Maybe if you watch this, you can help me decide, or maybe you can decide for yourself. Fixed blade with a Kydex sheath coming at you today. So please stick around for the rest of this review. I'd like to thank GearBest for sending this knife to me. The guys at GearBest are very good, quite generous. There's a lot of knives out there that I just could never afford to get on my own. And other knives that, I'd have to save up for a while for. And some of these fantasy knives, they don't necessarily tickle my fantasy the most. So, I got to review them still because I know there's somebody else who's going to really want to know more about this. So thank you so much, guys at GearBest, for sending this to me. I really appreciate it. And let's take a good look at this thing. You may have noticed if you've bought a CIMA knife that it says right there, email CIMA@CIMAKnives.com, web www.CIMAKnives.com, except for that website does not work. I've looked for a Chinese website for CIMA. I haven't been able to find it. I've researched CIMA Hardware Company Limited. Haven't been able to find it. It's just really, really hard to find information on CIMAs on the internet, except for from stores like GearBest and whatever. I thought I'd show you the box because the box has got their logo in black and white, so it's really clear to see that unicorn that they have there. I like their logo right there. That's something cool. They say that it comes with genuine Kydex on the sheath, and the Kydex is done quite well. The friction hold that you get with this Kydex, you can hear it snap, and it snaps in very well. They've done a really good job of that. And you can push off with your thumb up here to get it to pull out very well. The sheath also has this. You press the button in at the bottom, and that opens up the door for your, it's sort of like a tech lock kind of locking mechanism there. And you can fit almost a 2-inch belt in there. Well, it's basically a 2-inch belt. If you've got a smaller belt, you can take these pieces here and move them to wherever you need to create the space that your belt fits in best. One thing I don't like about this system has nothing to do with how well it works. It has everything to do with its position. So let's pull out our pants for this. Just because, I don't have a belt and I'm not going to stand in front of you with this right now because I'm not set up for it. But if this is you and you're standing up or you're laying down and up is that way, your belt goes through here. That's where the knife goes. So that's really high up, and you sort of have to cock your shoulder, lift your elbow up nice and high in order to grab this. I would much rather that the belt go across the top third of the knife. So I'd much rather it sat something like this. I think you guys know exactly what I mean. For me, pictures are so much better than words. This system here, this is a Y-Start knife. I like that. You could fit this tech lock, same kind of tech lock thing on here, but instead you've got it there. So if your belt line is right here, you can have that, or you can have that. Or like most knives that have leather sheaths, you know, down there again. Even better than this Kydex one. That's one big negative. It's not poorly built. The quality's good. It's just a design thing that I'm not too fond of. The Kydex works. You even have a drain hole drilled into the bottom of the sheath. So if you're outside and it starts to rain, water will get in here and it'll drain out the bottom. That's a good thing. Let's talk about the knife itself now. We've got Aussite steel. It's got a black sort of stonewash deal to it. We've got a saber kind of grind here. It's flat. It's not a hollow grind. It looks like it's hollow, but it's not a hollow grind. It's a nice flat grind. You've got a big belly here, sort of a sneak up choil right there. And it does work as long as you just use the tip of your finger. You know, the tip of your index finger and your thumb up here on this piece, and you can do some delicate work that way. If you grab a little bit tighter and you're careful, you might not cut the corner of your finger if you're careful, and then you can work that way. But if you keep your hand behind the guard completely, that's very comfortable as well. You've got some jimping up here. You got jimping around the base of the handle right there. And you've got lots of room to get a really good grip on this. This is real G10. We've got proprietary screws here. I'll give you a very close-up shot with my microscope. It's actually a letter C is the shape of tool that you would need to tighten these up. You know, then we've got a drop point here. Again, that flat swedge there and sort of a HAWKBILL. Very sharp recurve here, and then the belly. With the system that I have for sharpening, it's very easy to sharpen, you know, that part of the knife. It's just this bit here. I need to wait for my new sharpening adjustment to come for my TS Prof. Most of the sharpening stones that come with sharpening systems are about 1 inch wide. Well, I've got some that are half of that, about 1/2 inch wide, and that lets you get into recurves to sharpen them a little bit. Even better would be if you had some stones that are sort of like a quarter moon shape. Well, flat on the inside edge instead of curved, but then on the outside, you just have a bit of a radius. That's a really good thing for sharpening these. An easy way to sharpen this knife is with my Lansky system, the one that's got the rods, and you place them in the wood and you put them in a V angle. You can use that to sharpen this. That's a really good system to keep a good edge on it. You're not going to get a mirror finish with those, but you know, that does a decent job. This is a big, heavy, thick knife. Let's go through the specs. The cutting edge is 9.35 centimeters, 3.7 inches. The blade length from the end of the handle to the tip of the blade is 10.8 centimeters, 4.25 inches. The blade thickness, well, they keep on saying that it's 5 centimeters. I measured it a couple times with my vernier calipers, and they are quite accurate. Mine's 4.81 millimeters, pretty close. That's 0.19 of an inch. The thickness of the edge behind the grind, ooh la la. This thing is a thick, heavy beast. I really wish that this flat grind went up another 1/4 of an inch or something like that. You could get a much more gradual angle because it's over 1 millimeter thick. The thickness of the edge behind the grind here is 1.1 millimeters, which is the same as 0.043 inches. Very thick. And I measured about 1 inch from the end here, and I measured in a few other places. You get up here on this recurve and it's even thicker. You can just see, because you can see more shiny right there. That means they had to go higher to get that grind. They didn't do a perfectly even grind here either. I think this was probably ground by hand, and you know, they didn't do a perfect job on it. I really wish they would have done a better job, but it is fairly sharp. This one's got the factory edge on it because I don't have the proper stones yet to do the sharpening that I want to do. The handle length is 12.5 centimeters, just about 5 inches, 4.93. The handle thickness is 1.56 centimeters, which is 0.615 inches. The handle grip area right here is 10.5 centimeters, 4.14 inches. A lot of room to get really good grip. My hands are large, right on the border of extra large, And if I sneak up to the guard here and grab it, I still got a fair bit of knife left over there, more than the thickness of my small finger there. So somebody with extra large hands, you could easily use this knife. I can get all 4 fingers in there and still get some there. So yeah, lots of room for a big hand on this knife. The total length of this knife is 22.95 centimeters. That's right on 9 inches. It weighs 240 grams, which is 8.5 ounces. You add a 3.2 ounce sheath, and then we've got 322 grams and 11.7 ounces all told. This knife is on a flash sale, and this is being posted on Friday. The flash sale ends today, guys. So if you want to get this at a really good price, you've got to buy it tonight before 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And right now it's 25% off. We're talking $40.03 Canadian, $31.99 US, 27.21 euros, 24.44 pounds. And yes, there's a shipping fee that you got to add on to this. So buy it now when it's on special on the flash sale if you want this. It does have qualities that work. You can use this for a working knife. You've got a nice belly, and a belly helps you do a lot of cutting. You've got a nice recurve. A recurve helps you in a lot of ways. You could sharpen this leading edge and turn it into a tactical knife. You could do so many different things. The tip is very aggressive, and yet it's strong. It's got the coolness factor for a fantasy knife, having this big recurve here and sort of that cutout shape there that looks a little bit like an eye. And this is a wicked looking knife, and yet it's very comfortable in the hand. You can see the chamfering that they did on the side here, chamfering up here, all the way around. Very comfortable in hand. It's sort of like a raindrop, extended raindrop kind of shape right there. Feels really, really good in the hand. It doesn't get hot when you do a lot of work. It was a little hard cutting a lot of cardboard, but I cut a bunch of cardboard with it. I'll do some simple cut tests for you right here. There's 4 layers of paracord at the thickest part behind the grind is where I'm going to cut. And it cut right through them all with a little bit extra work. And so at the belly of the knife right there, cut through there pretty good. It took a bit of work because I didn't have a good grip to it, and so I had to stop, slow down a little bit. So it cuts okay. Let's cut something a little more substantial. This molly type webbing. Got to be able to grab it back here, and very easily cuts through that. Paper. Well, let's see how well it cuts paper. That's over here in the belly. How about in the recurve here? Catches a bit on that recurve. Again, this is the factory edge and doesn't have my edge on it. My edge is going to cut a whole lot better. And I really don't like testing a knife on the factory edge because I just don't like the factory edges on knives. Factory edge just doesn't mean much to me. A factory edge, even if it's quite sharp, isn't sharp enough because I'm going to make it even better. See how it just sort of tore there? Paper is actually tricky to cut, and it cuts great on the first part of the knife here. This recurve, they just didn't sharpen it at the factory very well. Now, how well does it work as a tabletop knife? And I'm going to show you, it doesn't work that well. Let's say you're looking straight down on the table, that this is the table surface. That's what you get. So if this is the tabletop, what are you going to cut with? Just that very tip. That's the only thing that you're going to be able to cut with on a hard surface. So basically you've got the tip to work with. And if you work with that tip, as long as this thing holds still, you can cut. That works for you. It's just pulling away on me, folding away. But you can see that tip works when it's sharp. but you just can't do an awful lot of cutting with that kind of blade shape on a hard surface. This is all in your hand, you know, freestyle. So it does have limited uses, but it certainly has got that fantasy thing covered. And just maybe it's got some practical areas covered. If you're looking for a knife like this and you want to get one, like I said, the sale is on till the end of today. Not even the end of today, till later today. Thank you so much for watching. Thanks for liking, commenting, sharing, and subscribing and all that good stuff. And remember to always cut towards your chum and not your thumb.